Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boom Bar right here on your Boom Radio NG. Like I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you listen to us from. It is the Boom Bar right here, and we're going to be talking about so many things today. If you're just joining us for the very first time, it is a Boom Bar where we give you everything sports, politics, entertainment, and everything else in between. Everything else in between can really be indeed anything else in between. No, as the gist carries us. But you definitely will, you can catch us as you're listening to us, Boom Radio NG. Watch us live right here in the studio on YouTube or on Facebook as well. And you could also drop your comments. We will drop those comments right here at the bar, and then we would talk about it, on whatever topic that we're going to be also talking about today. And to even make it more interesting, you could actually also send your messages on WhatsApp or actually call us on WhatsApp. It is 091 61637661 plus 234 9161 637664. The numbers are going to be on the show, where you can actually just pick them up if you did not get that number, and you could call into, and then let's have different discussions. Today we're going to be talking more really about June 12th. It is officially Democracy Day in Nigeria. Normally Democracy Day comes in it used to be May 29 until President Buhari changed it, and it's officially Democracy Day in Nigeria. But Democracy Day is it's a lot of history for Nigerian democracy. So yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about that. What the president did, the president's speech, the president replies to some things, a few of his actions, what a lot of people have had to say about today's Democracy Day, and also former and all that. So we're going to be talking about that a lot. Also, the role between Senator Oshiomhole and AirPeace. We're going to be talking about that. That seems to also be getting a lot of attention right now. A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people have been having funny questions. What the senator did, was it good or was it not good? That we're going to be talking about. AirPeace, their reputation. A lot of people are also talking about their reputation, and some people actually also seem to want to be on the side of the senator, like that. AirPeace has some funny behavior. That and a whole lot of other things are things that we're going to be diving in today at the bar. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. My name is Oladilopo. The one and only. Yeah, I did not forget. It's back. It's back. And with me in the studio today is Shala Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, and to all Nigerians, happy Democracy Day.
Okay, so we're getting right into today's show. Like I had said, we're going to be talking about Democracy Day and what it is, or what it is now. So Democracy Day used to be May 29th, and it was, if I'm correct, it was the day that the new democratic government was sworn in, which makes sense. Do you understand? That was since 1999. However, I think in 2018 or 2019, I'm not sure. I think it's 2018. Former President Buhari decided to change Democracy Day to June 12, which a lot of Nigerians will say has a lot of meaning to Nigeria's democracy. In fact, said that day was the election day that basically was, most people, or a lot of people, still claim to be the free and the fairest election, but that election never saw the light, or the results of that election, official results of that election, never saw the light of day. So that and a lot of other things, that's what culminated, I would say, what President Buhari decided to name June 12 Democracy Day in Nigeria, which, take for example, the Southwest had been celebrating it by themselves a couple of years before that. Now, of course, it's a public holiday in Nigeria, and one of the things that a lot of people were looking forward to, because it seems to be a thing now, that the president has a speech on Democracy Day, and it was something a lot of people were looking forward to. There was supposed to be a 7 a.m. broadcast of the president. That did not happen, and it was said that because the president was going to the National Assembly, so that speech was going to be had at the National Assembly. Very interesting speech. We're going to get to the speech, but also now that event also had a lot of people. It was just not only the joint assembly that were there. Former principals of the National Assembly as well, even people that are not in the House anymore, former Senate presidents, and all that, they were all at this particular event. So it was pretty much a very interesting one, that even the National Assembly has now adopted that from now on, each president will now start having June 12 speeches at the National Assembly.
Yeah, something reminiscent of the State of the Union address in America, the democracy that we kind of copied and might be seen to be tweaking in some ways. And yeah, it's also not a bad idea, and it kind of now looks good that it was all about having that live presentation at the assembly. It was a good thing. Another interesting thing, I don't know what they were thinking, but it sounds good to me, is the way the other past leaders of the house were invited. It kind of felt a tad bit awkward to see one or two people in that crowd singing mandates. I don't know if they sang along or they all just stood stoically and ignored whatever was going on in the house. But at the end of the day, he actually said a whole lot.
So now let's go into the president's speech, which is very interesting. The different parts to that speech, if I can say that, there are parts of the president talking about the state of the nation, the things that he and his administration have been able to achieve. He talked the conferring of national honors to a lot of people, a lot of posthumous people, and there was also a few other people, quite interesting list actually, of people that he gave. He also officially decorated the principal officers of the house that he had previously conferred national honors on, that we're going to be also looking at that list. Then there was also the address to if we can say, his opposition about the story of having a one-party state, threw a few jabs in his speech, at how giving kudos to the House. I think that saying that in 2006 it was this House that did not let there have a third term. The third term agenda never came up. There were a few basketballs in that speech. But overall, what do you think, or what did you think? Did you think that instead of having those early morning speeches, this was a way better speech everybody could watch?
I think they should scrap the early morning speeches majorly, especially for a day like this. The reason why I'm saying that is that the bulk of those, for those of you that don't know, they are recorded. They are pre-recorded and played back. Under a couple of governments in the past, the speech would have been out on the streets. Some people already had, even those of us that were privy to it, were decent enough not to push it out. But some people started posting it on social media and all of that. I think they've been able to curtail that with this government. And of course, recorded versus live is a different thing. So I think I would vote for a live presentation like he had today on the floor, and any other president that Nigeria will have on a day like this. I like that. I prefer that. Talking about the speech, let's look at the basketballs that Dolupo was referring to. That's the president saying things like, I am not going to tell you how to solve your problems. He's talking about the opposition parties now, who have basically been crying wolf, that they are being decimated by the government and the president's party. And again, we've said it here over and over and over again. If you're guided by the Constitution and understand how things work, and again, if you understand politics, it's not the job of the person you are trying to beat to show you how to beat him. It's not his job.
He actually said at the point where he cannot say that he's not happy what is going on with the opposition.
Yeah. So, of course, he referenced the fact that there was a time when the PDP more or less had some kind of tsunami across Nigeria.
Yeah.
And he was the last man standing. That's why he got that. I remember when, during the election period, he went to visit Tony. What's his name now?
Tony
Elumelu. And Elumelu was hailing him. A lot of people didn't know. They heard when Elumelu said, last man standing, That's where he got it from, because he was the only governor that survived the tsunami. So what they're saying, in essence, is if he could survive that and build from that, from one state to God knows how many states now, why are you whining when you have so many states and you're losing them by the minute, losing top people?
Exactly. In his statement, he said, for me, I would say, try your best to put your house in order. I will not help you do so. It is indeed a pleasure to witness you in such disarray. And I think this calls to the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, that had accused the presidency or the federal government of whatever was wrong with Labour Party. And I will still say that I think that that's a very flimsy excuse. Even if that is what is happening, you definitely had given them an opening to be able to put your party in disarray. So put your house in order.
And when asked proof, of course, there was none. There was none. So that's politics for you, and sadly you cannot divorce politics from governance. We just hope that governance supersedes politics when there's time for politicking, you politic. And of course, still staying with his speech, the highlight of that speech for me was the national honors and awards. I think it was an unprecedented number. I don't know historically if anybody had awarded over 100 and something. I'm sure they would have done it in the past, but about 60 something of those people received it posthumously.
Yeah.
And some names that we've not heard about in a while, people that we know were actually in the trenches when it came to trying to get Nigeria's democracy back. Some names that people are wondering if they would write a letter of rejection.
Yeah,
some who would accept it, or their families.
It's interesting to actually see.
And some people who were also pardoned,
Yeah, let's actually look at the list. For example, I think it started with the wife of late MQ Abiola, where I think she was given that's Kudirat, the late Kudirat Abiola. There was Humphrey Nwosu, who was the then INEC chairman there. The former vice president, Shehu Musayar Adua. There's
Shehu Musayar Adua. I don't think he was the former vice president.
Sorry.
That isn't that the elder brother?
Yes, the older brother. Yes, sorry. Also, there's Balarabe Musa. There's Rear Admiral Undubisi Kanu, Alfred Rewani. There are quite a lot of people. Dr. Becker and some Kuti. All these people are late. Also, we have quite a number of other people on that list. Another very interesting. There's Ruben Fashola. There's Chief Bola Ige. All these Alex Ibro, Ayo Fasomi. Also, all these. It's clear saying that all these people were really involved in Nigeria's democracy. So apart from that, we have someone like Wale Soyinka, who's also, I think, been given GCON.
Yeah.
And I think the man has done so much for Nigeria that I think he deserves it.
Yeah.
At 90?
Yeah. He's done a whole lot. Remember that he was jailed in the 70s for standing up, for what he believed in, even if it wasn't directly going to be beneficial to him. He was fighting for an entire part of Nigeria that he felt needed to be fought for, and he was jailed for it, and he didn't back down. And again, it was in the trenches during the fight to actualize June 12. So Wole Soyinka has done a whole lot in that regard, and virtually all the names that you heard on that list too, especially the posthumous ones that Tolubu had mentioned. The pardon for the Ogoni 9,
yes,
is also a big deal for me. I know that
there was national honors and then there was official pardon. So they're like, and I think that yes, they're late, but also that erases their names off the conversation of them being incarcerated for anything. And it's basically one of the conversations that have been going on. I think some of these things really also help the regions heal.
Yes, it does. It does, because when we're talking about history, there are certain wounds that are left open and that they tend to, leave a sore taste.
Yeah, there needs to be conversations around it and something that that is done completely about some of these things. Now, so another very interesting list that I think that we should also, part of the list that we should also talk about. We have a few governors on that list. There's Governor Uba Sani on that. There's Senator Shehu Sani as well on that list. Very interesting name as well. Is
not brothers.
No, yeah, definitely not brothers. I didn't even occur to me when I was reading it. Bishop Kuka. We have another very interesting name on that list is Femi Falana, Barrister Femi Falana, SAN. These are people that I can say that they're not really friends with the administration of the day. They've had quite a number of things to say.
Maybe just the last two names that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These two names.
The Sonny brothers, the non-brothers.
Oh, yeah.
They are top supporters of the government. One of them is a member of I think they're both members now of the APC. But of course, Bishop Kuka has been the voice, that has spoken for people. He has stood his grounds. He has been a strong critic when the need rises. And of course, again, so when you give people national awards, it has to be because they deserve it, not for any ulterior motives or any other thing that you might have planned for them. In the case of Femi Falana himself, this goes back to the days of June 12, where they were all on the same side of the divide. They were all on the same side, fighting for the same side. And of course, now they're not. It's obvious that everybody has its own agenda that they're pushing and they're trying to establish. So again, one of the discourse off air was that, would Femi Falana now say, nope, I'm not going to accept this
and I think that
award because I don't like this government.
Yeah.
Will he say that?
Or
will he be like, yeah, thank you for the honor and send my medal, or let me come and pick it up, or you use a dispatch rider to drop it somewhere for me.
That could also be.
You never can tell, but we stay on top of that. I'm just really excited that a couple of people got recognized. Shehu Musa Adua even got the highest honor.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he did.
Okay.
I'm not sure
what did he get?
I think it was CFR. He got oh, sorry. Shehu Musa Adua actually got GCFR. Yeah, actually correct. You're very correct, actually. He did get it was Humphrey Nwosu that got CON, GCFR. Shehu Musa Adua got GCFR, and the what's it called? And Professor Wole Soyinka got GCON.
The discourse around the late Humphrey Nwosu, the former Electoral Commission boss, got a little bit heated sometime this year when people were asking for him to be recognized and some things to be named after him and all of that. And one of the things that we talked about was that, can you start at home? Let it start at home, and I see one or two governors in the South is working towards stuff like that. I hope they're going to actualize it. And for instance, Governor Opusodima is naming the international center that they are building, the conference center, after the late Nwanyang. You get, it should be doing things like that too for Professor Humphrey Nwosu. You get, I think across the Southeast there should be streets named and all of that. Now the federal government has given him that award, and
so people should,
posthumously, but of course people should ramp it up and do a whole lot.
Ramp it up and do more.
And if you start like that, okay, it starts to spread again. There's actually nothing preventing even governors in the southwest and the north from doing it on the south, because it's not really
those things
a big deal if you realize that the man did his own bit, to contribute to democracy the way it is.
So still talking about June 12. Now moving on from the president, we know that there are quite a number of events all over and a lot of speeches. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about June 12. Yeah. One of the things I wanted us to talk about was, I think it was the platform today. I think it's still ongoing. The former governor of Lagos State, Babatude Fashola, probably one of the best governors coming out of Nigeria. A lot of people have had to say a lot of things to say. And he had said in his speech that, which a lot of people are now playing up, is that if the rule of law was upheld, because this whole conversation, everybody talks about rule of law a lot when it comes to June 12, that if the rule of law was upheld, then MK would have been president.
Yeah, I kind of agree with him, of course, but, it's the military rule, military regime. There's no rule of law. Do you understand? There's no rule of law. The instant the military come in, so that you don't have any doubts, they will announce that the constitution has been suspended. Then what they do, fiat, what they do, they start bringing out decrees. Decree 101, decree 102. It's not subject to anything that has to do with rule of law.
Yeah, and I like what his discourse was basically about, how maybe the trajectory of Nigeria would have changed a lot completely from some of these things if the rule of law was upheld, if he had become president, if he was allowed to fulfill his promises to the Nigerian people. Do you understand that he was actually saying how rule of law, how we think of, the rule of law is, is just something, but the chain reactions that those things affect, the kind of things that it affects, and is still affecting a country like Nigeria up until today because of that singular act.
Yeah, but again, let's be real with ourselves as the military, and they don't care about those things. It was obvious that, maybe they were never going to let Abiola become president, or maybe they realized too late that he was on his way, to become the president of the country, and they got scared, like, maybe something. There's so many maybes in this because it's in the past now, and the late great MK Abiola, didn't get to become president of Nigeria. I've said it on more than one occasion. That was actually the first time that I ever voted in my entire life. I remember that day very well. And the reason why people keep saying it was the freest and the fairest election that Nigeria has ever had, even till date, is because of the system of voting. It was an open ballot. You line up behind your candidate's image. So he was glaring. Everybody saw it. I remember at the polling unit that I was at, I think there were like 3 or 4 people that voted for Alhaji Tofa, and there were like 100 and something of us. So you can imagine how long the queue was.
That queue was, and
that was insane in most parts of Nigeria.
So basically, I like what he says, and says that how rule of law just changes the trajectory of a whole country. But before we leave this issue, we are still talking about June 12. Another person as celebrating June 12 and celebrating democracy and the rule of law and all that, because that's basically the basis of June 12, is how the rule of law and democracy was truncated. Yeah, in Nigeria. A former secretary to the government of the Federation and I think AD presidential candidate, Chief Olu Falae, has now come out to say that when this was, I think in 1998 or 1999, before the election that brought in Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, he is now claiming that he won that election. But that because Olusegun Obasanjo was a former general, the military installed him instead. And that he had won the election with about 1.5 million votes, by over 1.5 million votes. And it was confirmed to him by the late Ambassador Antonio Oladende Fernandez, who saw the results in possession of American officials that came to oversee or just, witness these elections.
Well,
well,
it's news. I voted in that election too, and I know how I voted, and I wish it had worked the way we wanted. But the truth is that until those documents, certified true copies of those documents, are provided, this will remain some kind of bogus claim. With due respect to, the elder statesman, it will just be like, yeah, you don't want to accept that 30-something years ago, you.
So my issue with this issue is whether you lost an election or you won that election. That is at least 25, 26 years ago.
It's not up to 30.
No,
okay,
something.
I apologize.
1999 now. It was
I apologize.
the election.
I apologize.
So about 26 years ago, if I'm correct. If that's the case, shouldn't we have moved on? Why are we still having that conversation now?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I said it's actually in the past now. But again, if there's proof about it, it's good for us to learn from these scenarios and look at how we can best avoid it, because it's almost the same scenario with every election cycle in Nigeria. There's hardly ever been one election that has not been contested, apart from Goodluck, Ebele, Jonathan agreeing to congratulate Muhammadu Buhari after the elections were concluded. I think that was 2015 or thereabout.
Yeah, so still talking about June 12, the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has now said that President Tinubu is playing politics with Nigerians instead of working.
Okay. What can you expatiate? Like, what else did he say? What did he use to establish this? And
also, they're basically saying that they need to do more. There's too much politicking around, and there needs to be more governance. Basically, Nigerians are suffering. The usual.
Is there a lot of politicking going on? Oh yes, I totally agree with him. In fact, it's unprecedented in the history of Nigeria that in year 2 of a government, there's so much politicking going on. But it's all about how I saw him talking at an event in Abuja. I saw the video. I wasn't at the event. I saw a video. I think that was like yesterday or 2 days ago, where it was more like a relaunch of his obedient movement, and it was talking about how they need to get these people out. Do you understand? Like, they need to get. That's politics too. You get. So opposition will play politics. Government too will play politics. The thing that we need, I keep saying it, is a strong opposition. An opposition that can actually call government out like Obi has done, and call them out with facts and figures, call them out with the issues in and around. Are Nigerians suffering? Oh yes, a lot of people are. A lot. Government claims that it's necessary to go through this phase when you are trying to wean people off something that they've been on for decades, which is subsidies. To think that if you look back now, virtually everything you bought online was subsidized by government.
Yeah.
If they had told us now, we would have bought more. Because they made us have an impression that was what the dollar was. You get. So those days when we were buying headphones from online from abroad. Instead of buying 4, would have bought 10.
like 15, 20.
You understand? And keep it for the rainy day or something,
Oh, Lord.
So, but on a real to real, I think he's also performing his role as, an opposition person. But politicking is a given for politicians. It's like saying that all a midfielder did was dribble. Yeah, he has to dribble. The idea is that will his team score? Do you get? Will they score a goal? Will they win the game? That's when Nigerians will be allowed to judge. And there's a lot more awareness with the Nigerian voters now.
Yeah, I think so.
2027 is going to be a very, very interesting
one. Very interesting.
We have exactly 1 year. I'm telling you, by this time next year, God keeping all of us, by this time next year,
it's going to be very intense.
The campaign unofficially would have ramped up. Because officially you cannot campaign until INEC declares, the games open. But no matter what happens, I pray that Nigeria is better off for it, that, ourselves and our children would have a country to be proud of.
Yeah.
There's something that I think is probably going to trend. For instance, the floating of the Naira, which means not pegging the Naira and not having two different prices of parallel markets that are determined by you spending dollar to keep Naira at a price. Mm-hmm. It's seemingly paying off again in the area of importation of vehicles. There's one particular popular site that people buy vehicles from, and apparently they just put it out now that you can buy vehicles in Naira.
Oh, wow.
And before you need to get $1 to join the auction, to bid and everything. If this is something that becomes constant, that will save Nigeria a lot, because what that means is that the demand for the dollar will drop. A
lot of people in that market will not be looking for dollar.
That's what it means
to do anymore.
So picture if all of you that have to do transactions online are allowed to do that. For instance, those of you sending your kids to school, you can still afford it. The dollar is at 1.6 or 1.5, and then I'll tell you, you know what? Pay for your child's school fees in Naira or more. Do you know what that means?
Yes, and I think that what this probably helps a lot is the stability of the Naira. Then, because if you can really predict the where the Naira is or where the Naira would be, then trading in Naira should not be an issue. Anyway, before we leave the issue of June 12, so there are quite a number of protests here and there in Lagos, in Abuja, in Oyo State. Sadly, Hoodlums actually dispersed some protesters in Akure, Ondo State. It was also said that because of a lot of heavy security in somewhere like Lekki Toll Gate, that protesters that had converged there had to disperse. And I will still keep saying it till tomorrow. When did Lekki Toll Gate, which is a highway, become somewhere that you'll be converging and you'll be blocking people's right to movement? Till tomorrow, it will not make sense to me.
The take it back movement, they had a major announcement, telling people different parts of Nigeria where this was going to happen. Do you get? And the protest actually did happen, like you said, Akure. They were going to have protests across Nigeria in every state. That was the plan. But I think they had Akure, like you said, and I think some parts of Kwara, somewhere in Kwara, I think so. But I saw videos of Akure. I saw videos of Abuja. I saw them in Abuja. I saw them in Lagos. They converged at Maryland, marched on Ojota, and all of that. And it shows that, of course, they are standing firm on their own belief also, and they are fighting for their own rights. And that's the beauty of democracy. That's the beauty. That's the kind of democracy we want. I really do not have to agree with you. I really do not have to see eye to eye with you. But I must acknowledge the fact that you are fighting for your own rights, to your right to be heard.
Holding on
And
to
the funny thing is, the president actually did mention that in his speech of how, that at times even it's your worst critics that would prefer the best solutions to you. So we must continue to call them out and and keep them on their toes. So shout out to the Take It Back movement. I just don't like the distortion in the leader of that movement being a politician and an activist.
Okay, so now moving on from the conversation of June to okay, so Jerry Unwibo says Nigeria will be better is a daydream.
Your views, Jerry.
Everybody's opinion, really.
And honestly, I totally disagree with you, but I believe that your views are also valid. Because I actually believe that this country will be better. This is my name. My name is Shola Rogers. I strongly believe that Nigeria will be better. But I cannot dismiss what you said. At the end of the day, what if you are right and I'm wrong?
Anyway, moving on from that quickly. Now, quickly, Governor Zulum freed 66 inmates in Borno prison to celebrate June 12th, Democracy Day, which makes a lot of sense. Also, the EFCC is continuing their crackdown on Chinese-led crimes in Nigeria, announcing that they arrested another 177.
Only just last week did they even have some of them prosecuted. They had some people from different parts of the world, non-Nigerians, on Nigerian soil perpetrating crimes. Last week we saw a video also of a call center somewhere in I think it's Indonesia, and they're actually scamming people, and they're telling them that they are calling from Abuja in Nigeria, and the person who had hacked their CCTV was not a Nigerian, it was a white man based on sound of it. I think it was Caucasian. And I'm like, these are some of the people that are actually making us look bad.
Yeah.
But again, it shows a failure in our system. I'm glad that they are trying to recover it, but it shows a failure in our system in the sense that when people are traveling, like if I was going to go to the US or to the UK or China, at least it would be either as a tourist or as an expat, or on a mission here and there. So how come there are a whole lot of these people coming through and they're in Nigeria without
there's no follow-up,
proper documentation and a whole lot of things, and even the ones that have documentation are free to commit crimes?
It's such a very, very sad one. Now, moving on from that, I just wanted to put all that out there. And let's go on to another conversation that has been going on and on. This is Senator Oshiomhole versus AirPeace. So news yesterday broke that Senator Oshiomhole had stopped the plane here, and his security basically got passengers stranded because it was said that he had gotten late for
allegedly that's what they said happened
from Abuja
that's one side of the story.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying what we heard when we started. And there was a lot of rancor back and forth. Then the man had come out to say that no, that was not what happened. He had come in about 30 minutes before, and they had said he was not going to get in with some other Nigerians, and that when somebody had told maybe the manager that it was a Senator Oshiomhole that was there, the man came and decided he was going to help him, and he said, nope, everybody, if I'm going
no
to
preferential
in,
treatment,
everybody has to go in. And that they also realized that the airline also basically frustrate people to not buy tickets online weeks before, so that you can buy it twice as much on the day. That they were actually offering that people should pay an extra over 100,000 naira so that they can get a seat on the flight.
There's a whole lot that is wrong with this story. A whole lot.
He said a lot of that, and then AirPeace has also come out to say that no, that was not the truth, that he came late and all that. In fairness to the senator, he actually had a few pictures and a bit of proof here and there to buttress his point. A lot of people had come out to say that the senator, if you go to a flight 30 minutes before the flight ends, you're late, it's okay for them to shut their. However, a lot of people who have flown AirPeace have now come out to say, oh, so it's okay for them to shut their stuff, but they can actually delay or even cancel flights
for hours, and days at times.
On a whim, and nobody's going to talk about that. So now there is a lot on the senator, and there is a lot of people now coming out to share the bad stories they've had with AirPeace.
Let's speak freely about this for a couple of minutes.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have never, and I've traveled a couple of times locally, I've never had a smooth sailing in, let me not say never, let's say in 10 flights locally, maybe one. Maybe one. And I have flown with virtually every Nigerian airline. Okay, maybe two. I remember, and I mentioned 2 airlines. I think Max Air is no longer they came to rescue us once from Abuja to Lagos. And this Green Africa, also they were on time and everything. Every other one that I didn't mention, I've had issues with each and every one of them, especially Abuja. I had an experience where the flight was for 4 o'clock or thereabout. So I get to the airport around 2. And of course, I made my way to the place where we were going to board. And they didn't call the boarding until close to after 5. And I'm like, okay, not bad, just 1 hour delay. At least because it was supposed to be 4. And I'd been there for 3 hours. Then I'm making my way there and someone looks at me and says, I saw you when you entered. I said, yeah. He said, I don't think this is your flight. I said, this is the airline. This guy said he got there 2 hours before me. Apparently, he was right.
So it was the flight before that they were calling.
They were just calling at that
5. So that's what a lot of people are now saying.
A lot of that happens.
So if that happens, does someone like an AirPeace have the moral justification to say that they're closing their till 30 minutes before?
These are the issues. Let's be honest. Until you experience it, I saw a lady virtually break down and cry. One of these Nigerian airlines, we were leaving Abuja on a Sunday afternoon, and we got there, and the desk was not open. So we were running out of skelter at the Abuja airport, and people were like, they didn't even come. They didn't come, Bawu.
And you sold tickets to people.
One guy pointed one of their staff to us, and I went to him and said, hey, blah, 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 blah. He said that they sent messages. You said, brother, I didn't buy my ticket by myself. We traveled as a group. So who did you send the message to? That then one thing happened. So we had to actually raise money and buy fresh tickets. That's the Max Air that I flew back to Lagos that day. There was a lady that sat down and started crying. She said that was all she had. And she had to be in Lagos that Sunday because she had something important to do on Monday. We've actually left her behind because she was making frantic calls to raise money to fly another airline back. And this is what all the local airlines do. And let's be very honest with ourselves. I'm deliberately not mentioning names. But if you have ever traveled locally, you have experienced a delay, a cancellation, with no apologies, no refunds, nothing. Now, kudos to the Minister of Aviation. He's been doing a lot. Then there's the FAN under him. Then there's the other one that has Michael Achimugu that they're doing a lot for customers and everything. But your work has just started. Yeah, they came late or they didn't come late or whatever. Are you blind to the fact that Nigerians are actually paying through their noses for terrible service on these airlines? I'm not even going to talk about those miserly pieces of biscuit and tiny packs of juice that you give us after collecting almost 300 or 400,000 naira or 200,000 naira for a less than 1 hour flight or barely 1 hour flight. I'm not only going to, I won't complain about that. Let's live with that. This particular system of buying tickets online, it is only when you are lucky that you're actually able to buy a ticket online. This is what they do. It's hard. So if you buy the ticket on, I remember that recently we had to send some people to Abuja. 2 of the people on that team had bought a ticket on a Monday, the week before. We tried to buy a ticket for the 3rd person about 2 days after. And every time we checked that website, the cost of the ticket was going up. the cost of the ticket was going up.
So I get at times, yeah.
The same flight.
That's so my
At the end of the day,
is that why does that happen though?
At the end of the day, some people got their ticket for about 120 something thousand.
Yeah.
The third person that flew with them got his ticket for close to 200 and something thousand. What am I saying? It was 240 something thousand, almost 100,000 naira more than those people. Now, then they tell you that everything is sold out, but you get to the airport. And there are people who can actually still buy tickets.
Yeah.
It's happening.
And so that is the one of the arguments that the senator was having.
It's happening, and you tell people, go online, go and buy. I can show you. I have a colleague who also experienced this, and he also said that he actually saw touts, in quote, peddling those tickets. At the airport.
That's one of... I remember, I think, when there was someone that was explaining and said that one of the issues that basically saw how at the Nigerian airport, they will tell you that tickets are sold out. And then there are actually people selling it to people at 3 times the price.
So what they do is that they know that some people are just going to walk in. They know that most of those people who walk in have money. They know that people are going to come at the last minute.
So they will rather sell the expensive
That's what they're doing. They're doing it a lot. It's happening a lot.
So do we say that what Adams Oshiomhole did, he was right?
In my opinion, yes. You see, because again, sadly, this thing has been politicized. Mm-hmm. People have started saying, "Oh, why did he hold up a flight and blah blah blah." Trust me, nobody can hold up a flight. They said they make it to the runway. They said he stopped the carousel. They said a whole lot. But what I see is people politicizing it. The bulk of the people criticizing him are people who don't support his government or the government that he works with.
But let's be honest. Nigerian aviation industry is shitty. It is shitty.
Yeah.
Let's not lie.
No, don't sugarcoat it.
Except you don't fly in Nigeria.
And constantly we also start to speak based on biases, and people should stop that nonsense. It is when you suffer. It is when you have spent hours. There are 2 airlines that in fact I will never get those refunds, so let me just let it go. There are 2 airlines that I know that will tell you that there's supposed to be some kind of funny refund and all of that. In fact, that one of the flights, we filled one form from one complaint desk. Then I got a call about it a few days after, and blah blah blah. At the end of the day, nothing came out of it. Nothing will come out of it. I was so angry. I was going to sue. So, look, AirPeace, Arik Air, any other Nigerian airline.
And that's funny.
You guys have a lot of work to do.
That's what a lot of Nigerians are saying, that
are paying
have
premium.
They have no moral standing to be able to complain about anything, because
honestly they don't.
There's so much issues with their airline.
Honestly, they don't. And again, even people who would maybe risk it and go by road are scared. Let's be honest with ourselves, because security needs to be on point.
But, that will definitely.
So people are flying premium, but man, they are going through.
The least you can do is at least give them. And let's be honest, things are really expensive in Nigeria.
Yeah,
money is actually not easy to come by. In fact, I think I saw a post of someone like a Tiwa Savage. I say is a celebrity. She had put out a post that Nigeria is showing everybody that people that keep begging her every time that she's a single mother too. She has to hustle. Everybody is going through it one way or the other. So the little money they have, people dole it out to you, and then the least you can do is give people service for their money.
Yeah, give them value, man.
Sorry, give them value for their money. Anyway, we'll follow that. However, the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, has also now finally come out to say that CBEX still remains banned in Nigeria. I think a few days ago, there was a lot of conversation around how, some people are happy that the platform is up and running, and they're asking people to deposit, I think $200 or something, to be able to withdraw money. SEC is telling you now that it's still a scam. The money that they stole from you is not enough, Abi. you now want to go and deposit another $200 there. I don't know.
Please.
I would not be surprised if some people will still fall for it again.
Please, guys, I beg of you, please. If it sounds so good to be true or too good to, it is.
This one is not even about sounding good.
You don't
They have
understand.
already collected
The offers
more
that they are
money
getting,
before.
it will still be nice.
They
Now they'll
don't
tell
say
you,
that 200
bring $200 to reconnect and blah blah blah.
Me, I've Kuku said it in this Nigeria.
It's the F1 tree
There's
for
a
me,
lot
though.
of money
It's
around.
the F1 tree for me.
We just say that.
So all the people that they said they have arrested and want to arrest, are these ones related to them?
I'm just saying, you do anyhow.
Please.
You collect. Okay.
Please, oh, na Ponzi, oh.
Anyway, Aliko Dangote has now officially retired as the chairman of Dangote Sugar Refinery after 20 years.
Sugar refinery or just sugar? Dangote sugar.
It's a sugar refinery, actually.
Which sugar refinery is that? Is it not? It's just Dangote sugar now.
No, it's a sugar refinery.
I beg you. Look,
It is a sugar refinery.
the beauty about this is that when you are built a system, you should be able to take this kind of decisions you get, because at times I wonder at a lot of rich people how they just walk themselves to the grave. Like they made a whole lot of money, then there's more work, Like a wise man once said, it's like the more money we come across, the more problems we see.
Yeah, because the funny thing is that you think that
it looks like Aliko has built a structure
yes,
that would allow the business run without it. But it's only sugar that is
only
pulling.
sugar. The one that he just
Alaye will still stay on top the main refinery.
Are you joking? The one that something that just started working. Are you people joking? Anyway, sadly, Air India has witnessed a plane crash today. There were about 242 people on flight. We don't know how many casualties that was, but it was such a very, very sad one. In South Africa as well, floods also happened that killed about 49 people as well. Such a very, very sad one. There's this story that I saw that I felt that we should talk about, and this happened in Katsina. So police bust a kidnap syndicate and they rescued a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. Now, interesting news with that is that apparently, I think it's a 14-year-old sibling of the 4-year-old that had orchestrated their own kidnap and the kidnapping of the younger one.
At 14.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, wow, interesting news. Anyway, U.S.
The world has changed at 14. I'm trying to remember what I was doing.
At 14, I think I was in SS1-ish. SS1, yeah. I was in SS1. I just wanted to eat. The only thing, go to school, come back, do your homework,
and write letters to boys and all that.
I don't know. I ain't got no time for that.
Okay, so it's text messages and BlackBerry.
No.
Moving on.
Okay, yeah, we had phones at SS1, but why am I writing love?
Yeah,
text
right.
Nah, it was their phones and all, but nah, I ain't got no
Yeah.
time for that. Anyway, moving on from that, the U.S. president has now unveiled a website for $5 million U.S. residency visa. So it's saying you've got $5 million to pour into the U.S., you're getting a resident visa immediately. Kapoosh.
Yeah, well, shout out to everybody that has $5 million to use to get residency.
Anyway,
I shan't do that. If I have $5 million, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'll go and do things in Nigeria.
What are you? What?
Things and things.
What are the things?
$1 million is how much in Naira again?
Quite a few millions.
It can't be millions, though. It must be billion.
It's millions.
I don't want again.
It's 160 million now. $1 million about
it can't be. It must be
million.
more than that. It must be 1.6 billion.
No.
Yes, now.
No.
You don't know, Master. Go away. Oh, yeah, say something else. Be spoiling somebody's dreams.
I'm just. Which dreams are they spoiling?
Nonsense.
Anyway.
I'm going to calculate it by myself.
Okay. Anyway, the Super Falcons have maintained the 6th position in the latest FIFA ranking.
Look at you. It's billion.
It's 1.6 1.6.
It's billion.
It's
You don't even know it. You
160.
don't even know any.
1 million is 160 million naira.
It is billion.
How can it be billion?
Please.
$1 is 160 naira now.
Please, people at home.
Oh Lord.
People at home. Help me help this girl. Oh yeah. Clean your glasses. What is this?
1.
How many zeros are there? How many digits is that? Whoa, you can't spoil my dream. $5 million. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a billionaire in Naira. How we go and live next to, my good friend Ali?
What?
He just resigned, so we'll have time to play table tennis together. He's my good friend.
Okay.
You know Ali now, the sugar guy.
I don't know who Ali is.
Seriki May Sugar.
Anyway, can we move on from that?
Move your movements.
Anyway, like I said, Super Falcons have maintained 36th position, and in latest
That's in the
rankings,
world.
yes, in the world. And sadly, the MBBFC, even I will say that's an update, have announced that Nigerian boxer that died in Ghana, they're saying confirming that his body would arrive in Nigeria June 17th.
Right, this is a sad one, but I'm sure his family will be glad to have his body back, so they can
there's a bit of
lay
closure
his remains, to rest
on
and all.
on that matter. And on that note, that is all we will take today on the Boom Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time. In Nigeria, happy holidays.
Please kindly subscribe to our channel. Help us grow.
Yeah, subscribe,
and, leave a comment. Share this link.
Alrighty. Have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.